Well, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see you all here again, and it's a great pleasure to welcome yet another new lecturer you haven't seen yet. A gentleman who actually has received his PhD in bioengineering and space physiology. During his extensive tenure with NASA, he was involved in many different projects from the Apollo program onwards, also specifically involved in spacesuit design and more. As a scientist, he's written many papers, and in fact, just telling me he's actually written his first novel as well. It's a great pleasure to welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kuznetz.
Thank you. Thank you, Alistair. Can everybody hear me? Everybody hear me in the back? Great. First of all, it's a pleasure to have you all here during your lunch hour. I know you've given it up, and I hope it's worth it, but I think it will be. We've got a very interesting set of lectures. I'd like to show you what the plan is. I'm going to take you on a ride from down here on Mother Earth all the way to the stars. And we're going to start off with Mother Earth. I'm going to tell you the basics today of what the space program is, what it is like to work for NASA, what kind of people work for space agencies, not just for the US space agencies, for international space agencies, because as time goes on, there is no such thing as a single space program. The space station is a consortium of 17 nations as we speak. The last two space shuttle missions to the space station delivered the Columbus European laboratory, and which is now manned by, I believe, a German and a Swiss astronaut. And this last one, which is scheduled to land tomorrow, Endeavour, delivered the Japanese experiment module, which is half of the Japanese experiment module. The next part, when that's delivered, the space station, for all practical purposes, will be ready for continuous manning by up to 6 people, and from 17 different countries. It's about to begin its real mission after all this time, since we started building it in the 1990s. So we have an international program, and we have many different goals, but we have one overriding mission. And that mission is eventually to progress beyond Earth, to the moon, to Mars, and beyond. But before we get into that, I'd like to tell you how it is we do what we do and who does it. So following this lecture, I'm going to give one on the Columbia Space Shuttle accident. Now, it might seem a little bit out of place, because it was a tragedy, and I was involved in it. A good friend of mine perished in that accident. It's the second time that's happened. But out of such bad things, good sometimes happens. And you're going to learn that in the process of coming to grips with that accident, the Congress in the United States finally changed the direction that NASA had been in for the last 30 years, which was essentially in a circle, and moved to its real mission. And so, because it's so pivotal, I want to explain how that accident changed the course of space exploration. And after we do that, we're going to get into the new missions. What are we going to do specifically, and how are we going to do it? And then I'm going to get into everybody's dream who works for the space program in the near term, and that's Mars. And those of you who came here early, we're looking at some of the incredible images that have come back from the 2 rovers, which are now in their 4th year. When they were originally supposed to only be there for 3 months. So they're wonderful machines that are just expanding our knowledge. And if I had more time, maybe on another cruise if I see you again, I would do a one on space tourism. People ask me frequently, how do I go? Can I go up there? And even a fashion show. I think Alistair made some passing reference to some of the products that have come down from space technology to Earth. And I might show you just one of them if there's time. But for now, let's get on for today's talk. And what I like to do here is I like to explain, anybody in the audience tell me, what's our current speed? Somebody, just. 17 knots. Is that what our speed is? 22 knots. 22 knots. Well, in actuality, we are not doing 22 knots. We are actually doing, believe it or not, 66,700 miles an hour. In one day, this ship goes to the moon and back 5 times. That's how fast Earth is going around the sun. And this ship is just a dot on Earth. And so really, we are a spaceship. A cruise ship is a spaceship. And some other things about a cruise ship that are very, very similar to a spaceship. It's fully contained. As those of you who've gone to some of the lectures on the system, we regenerate our own water. We regenerate a lot of different things. And so we are self-contained. For instance, a space shuttle mission lasts up to 14 days and it carries everything with it. And as you know, this ship can even do better than that before it has to take on needed inputs. So another thing that we do on this ship is we plot our course by the stars.